Hi, welcome. You're likely here because you are struggling, and it's probably really hard to admit that. You're usually really good at staying strong, getting done what needs to get done. You've been through a lot, probably, but you don't want to be a burden to anyone else, right? You don't want to feel like you are putting your stuff on someone else. You focus on getting done what needs to get done and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. You're a striver, you're a doer, maybe an achiever, go-getter. Time seems short, days are really busy, and there seems to always be people who need you, who rely on you, and maybe you want them to rely on you, maybe you don't, maybe that shifts, changes day to day. Either way, it probably doesn't feel like you have someone that you can rely on consistently, quite in the same way that it seems like other people can rely on you. Or, on second thought, maybe you do have someone who wants to do that for you, wants to be that for you. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes because it's fairly rare that you actually let someone in, let yourself get that deeply vulnerable and open with someone, or slow down enough to allow that to happen. And so it can feel hard to trust people. And maybe you have given someone a chance. Maybe you have trusted someone and maybe they have hurt you, or even though you think maybe you can trust them, there's still this part of you that won't allow yourself to really lean on them, rely on them in the way that you want to. And even if you could depend on someone like that, you wouldn't want to weigh them down. You wouldn't want your stuff to become their stuff, right? But at the same time, maybe you're feeling resentful, which really sucks. It does not feel good. In fact, it feels terrible and it's weighing on you. Perhaps you're feeling more easily irritated, more overstimulated, or maybe it's going the other way and you're feeling more numb, more disconnected, more cut off. But sometimes it can be hard to tell because it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Angry one minute, anxious and overwhelmed the next, don't want anyone to know or see how you're feeling. Maybe you feel cut off and disconnected one minute and then utterly sad or unable to focus in the next minute. Whatever it is that's going on for you, within you, you've decided that it's got to end. Or you feel like something's got to give, right? Like you don't want to live like this anymore. It's not you. It's not who you really are. You want to feel better. You want to feel more connected, less anxious, more supported. You want to feel different, but you're not really sure how to start, where to start. And so you came to this page for a reason. If you're still here, still listening, it's probably because you are seriously thinking that it is about time to start, to take a step towards a different path, towards something new, something different. You're ready for change. At least part of you is ready and wanting change. If what I'm saying resonates with you in some way, then you're in the right space. And I'm glad you found me. I'm Dr. Tony, and I've been doing this work for a while now. It's been the better part of 2 decades. I've worked with adults in a variety of settings. I've worked with folks who are teachers, who are counselors, who are administrators within school settings. I've worked with moms, I've worked with dads, I've worked with grandparents in the living rooms of their homes and within their communities. I have worked for a while now in my own private practice, supporting adults who tend to look mostly good, air quotes, good, on the outside, as far as colleagues or others who watch them are concerned, but they feel like their life is crumbling on the inside. There's something that's off. There seems to be an assortment of emotions, but they're hard to parcel out. They're hard to navigate. And many of them come in because one or more of their relationships has really been struggling. And they've done what they can to keep holding things together, but it's just not working anymore. Something's got to give. Like there's this feeling like I gotta do something. It's time. The time is approaching for something to change, something different to happen. I cannot do this anymore. I will not say that I know exactly what it's like to be you, to be in your life, to be living the way that you have been living, to have experienced all that you have experienced. I don't think it's possible for any one person to actually 100% understand what that is like for any other person. However, I will say this. I do this work because I've had my own personal complex ties with the challenges of mental health. So I do not take it lightly. This line of work was never a second or third option for me. It was always my first and only choice, despite what we may have been told or showed. Our mental health does matter. And when our mental health suffers, everything around and within us is affected, no matter how hard we try for it not to be the case. So if you are suffering, I am glad that you are here. I'm so glad that you are here, not because I want you to suffer, but because I don't believe that you have to continue to suffer. You don't have to keep suffering over and over and over again, and certainly not alone and in silence, feeling so disconnected or off. Now, I do think that it's important to point out that not every therapist is the best fit for every client. And that is actually a really good thing, I believe, because there are so many different people in this world, billions and billions, right? And so there are loads of different challenges, histories, preferences, specialties, et cetera, that apply to each and every single one of us, whether it's the therapist or the client. We are all uniquely different. So why would we expect that one therapist is the best fit for every single person of this variety? That doesn't make sense, right? And so I'm glad that there's a variety for you to choose from. It's supposed to be that way. That is a good thing. So if what I share here fits for you, great, we can talk. And if what I share here doesn't fit for you, that's totally okay too. There are a few things that I want you to know to help you make an informed decision or help you better understand the way that I tend to work, so you can get a feel if it might be something that could be helpful for you. This way you can make a decision that's informed as you move forward with whatever the next step is that you want to take, okay? Informed by both your heart, right? How you feel here, and also by your head, what you're thinking about what I'm sharing. So the very first thing that I would want to put out there is the kind of work that I do is not cookie cutter. That means I don't do the same exact protocol for every single person that walks into my telehealth room. I just don't subscribe to that. I cannot bring myself to do it. We're all unique, we're all individualized, and that is how I approach my work. That means that I don't subscribe to only EMDR, for example, or only CBT, or only brain spotting, or only parts work. I don't subscribe to only one way of doing things. I don't work out of only one singular model, theory, or framework. I marry together in a very intentional way from a variety of tools, techniques, theories, and frameworks that I've studied, trained in, and developed skills within over the course of many, many years. So what I'll do is I'll pull tools, techniques, conceptualizations, I'll pull them out of the variety of methods that I have studied in, and we integrate the core features from them in a way that's really unique to you and to me. So it maximizes my strength in supporting you and helps to maximize your strengths in supporting you towards your goals. That allows for treatment, for support, for the care that you receive to be very individualized. And it gives a more whole being approach to the work that we do together, which is so incredibly important to me and so incredibly impactful for the clients that I support. What this means is that we're going to go beyond traditional talk therapy, okay? That means we're not just going to talk. We will talk. There's nothing wrong with traditional talk therapy. It just has its limitations, okay? And what that does is when we can go beyond traditional talk therapy, it'll reduce any chances of me being super narrow in the way that I work with you, and allows me to support you as a whole being rather than what some other clinicians may focus on as like a diagnosis. You're not a diagnosis. You are not a number. You are a human being with a unique, individualized lived experience in this world. You need to be treated as such. Now, don't get me wrong. We are going to talk. We will talk in sessions. But if you're open to trying therapeutic tools and techniques beyond that, then this might be a really good fit for you. It may also feel very strange for you, and at times it might even feel a little bit scary. That's okay. I've tried many of the techniques that I utilize, and it has felt strange or scary to me in different instances. It's going to feel different for different folks. That's okay. But I want to offer some examples of what I mean so you get an idea of what I mean when I say we're going to go beyond traditional talk therapy. One example might be we might try body-based skills, okay, or body-based approach to a particular situation or challenge that you're working with. And so that might mean noticing body sensations in a particular way or moving your body in a certain way that's very intentional to what it is that we're working on in any given session. We might also try a brain-based technique like brain spotting, where we find a spot in your visual field that actually connects with a particular emotional experience and sensation within you. And then together we would walk through that as I support and attune to you with whatever it is that's coming up for you that needs to be more deeply processed. Another example might be that I might encourage you to do some trial and erroring with certain activities that might be in session or outside of session. Certain writing prompts individualized to you, again, in session or out of session, maybe to incorporate certain smells, certain scents, or certain sounds in the work that we do together. Again, that could happen in session or out of session, where I encourage you to try some of those things. These type of techniques and tools, they call upon more than just your cognitive thinking brain. Our brains are complex and amazing, but they do not operate alone, all right? And so when we can go beyond traditional talk therapy, we can call upon these various parts of your full system, your full brain body system, your full nervous system. And that's going to help that full system communicate with itself better, understand itself better, and therefore integrate in the way that it functions better. That facilitates healing, that helps with you feeling healthier, and it also helps with optimal functioning, which is what we're going for, right? That allows us to really enjoy our relationships more, to feel better, to do better in a way that feels good. So if that sounds like something that you would be willing to or wanting to try, even if part of you feels a little bit nervous or scared or like, what? That's a little confusing. That's okay. If you're intrigued by it, we could just have a conversation and I can answer your questions. All right. If you are not ready yet, that's okay too. Wherever you're at, notice where you're at with all of this, and wherever you're at, that's okay. If you decide that you have questions, that you want to reach out, you want to talk, you can click any button on the screen and schedule a free 15-minute phone call, and we can get those questions answered for you. Again, I'm glad that you're here.